switch normal one, otherwise my operator will completely stay. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah, it should the one which put guys, noise, and you're going to go Facebook.
Have you ever thought about the word mutual? Mutual respect, mutual admiration, mutual interests, mutual benefits. It's a little word with big meaning because it describes a state of commonality, of shared experiences or beliefs, and of close relationships. For us at Old Mutual, the word mutual is much more than just a part of our name. It's a promise we make to those we serve. A promise of partnership, relationship, and shared commitment to what matters most in their lives. Since we were first established in 1845, we have been a certain friend in uncertain times. Our promise ensures our customers have the support of an experienced and long-respected financial partner. Today, that experience has enabled Old Mutual to become a leader in the financial services industry. From new innovations to solve complex problems, to new ways of helping people create better futures. The world we operate in relies on the links between the economic, social, and environmental systems. Through our core business activities of gathering capital, investing it on behalf of our customers, and transferring risk, we are working to create a more socially inclusive, resource-efficient, and low-carbon future for all our stakeholders. And it's this that makes us the first choice financial partner for millions of Africans. always acting with purpose, always creating shared value, and never wavering in our commitment to have a positive impact on the world. As a financial services partner born in Africa for Africans, Old Mutual understands what is important to people and businesses on the continent and what challenges they face. And they trust us to help them overcome those challenges, protect what is important, and transform their dreams into reality, while constantly evolving how we deliver on our purpose and keep our promises. The reason why we do it is the same today as it was almost 2 centuries ago. To become our customers' first choice to sustain, grow, and protect their prosperity by offering a range of integrated financial services that truly meet the needs of our customers throughout their lifetime. Enabling entrepreneurship, embracing diversity and inclusion, supporting financial well-being, and delivering quality education and skills development, so that together we can do great things every day.
Convenience in many ways on one platform. Welcome to my
Old Mutual is great.
insurance, investments, just and banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just and banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
waba kukwanisa kuwa na maservices Old Mutual anosanganisira insurance, investment ne banking all on one platform. Usebenzisa ipassword eyodwa WhatsApp le USSD chaya *227# bumbe ukuthumela iWhatsApp ku-0777 227 227 ukuthi wenze konke ku-My Old Mutual.
Insurance, investment, savings, and banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
nezibona kathumira ngomzangu 10 ndoba vayitora iri 10 yechke kana usingazivi chivunza inini uyani kuratidze plan oh mari yako mara kutumira mala kutora ndauyane mari hati wewe unombochema macharges iwe mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauyane mari hati wewe unombochema macharges sama US mari mala kutumira mari padeni vo icha cash out nyangwe makuseni uyandi kuratidze ndinayo plan mari yako mara kutumira mala kutora ndauyane mari hati wewe unombochema macharges.
Dial *707# from any Econet, Net 1 or Telesat.
Have you ever thought about the word mutual? Mutual respect, mutual admiration, mutual interests, mutual benefits. It's a little word with big meaning because it describes a state of commonality, of shared experiences or beliefs, and of close relationships. For us at Old Mutual, the word mutual is much more than just a part of our name. It's a promise we make to those we serve. A promise of partnership, relationship, and shared commitment to what matters most in their lives. Since we were first established in 1845, we have been a certain friend in uncertain times. Our promise ensures our customers have the support of an experienced and long-respected financial partner. Today, that experience has enabled Old Mutual to become a leader in the financial services industry. From new innovations to solve complex problems, to new ways of helping people create better futures. The world we operate in relies on the links between the economic, social, and environmental systems. Through our core business activities of gathering capital, investing it on behalf of our customers, and transferring risk, we are working to create a more socially inclusive, resource-efficient, and low-carbon future for all our stakeholders. And it's this that makes us the first choice financial partner for millions of Africans. Always acting with purpose, always creating shared value, and never wavering in our commitment to have a positive impact on the world. As a financial services partner born in Africa for Africans, Old Mutual understands what is important to people and businesses on the continent and what challenges they face. And they trust us to help them overcome those challenges, protect what is important, and transform their dreams into reality, while constantly evolving how we deliver on our purpose and keep our promises. The reason why we do it is the same today as it was almost 2 centuries ago. To become our customers' first choice to sustain, grow, and protect their prosperity by offering a range of integrated financial services that truly meet the needs of our customers throughout their lifetime. Enabling entrepreneurship, embracing diversity and inclusion, supporting financial well-being, and delivering quality education and skills development, so that together we can do great things every day.
Convenience in many ways on one platform. Welcome to mind.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just on the banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just on the banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
wava kukwanisa kuwa na maservices e-Old Mutual anosanganisira insurance, investment ne-banking all on one platform. Usebenzisa i-password eyodwa WhatsApp le-USSD chaya *227# kumbe uthumela i-WhatsApp ku-0777 227 227 ukuthi wenze konke kuma i-Old Mutual.
Insurance, investment, savings, net banking. My Old Mutual is great. USSD, WhatsApp, okay, convenience in many ways on one platform. Welcome to my
Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just on the banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just on the banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
wava kukwanisa kuwa na maservices e-Old Mutual anosanganisira insurance, investment ne-banking all on one platform.
Mahala. Oh, Mari. USD wallet promotion. Nezona katumira momzangu 10. Ndoba vaitora iri 10. Yechke. Kana usinga. Mahala. Oh, Mari. USD wallet promotion. Nezona katumira momzangu 10. Ndoba vaitora iri 10. Yechke. Kana usingazivi chivunza inini. Uyandi kuratidze plan. Oh, Mari yako. Mara kutumira, mara kutora. Ndauyane oh, Mari. Hati wewe unombochema machaji.
You're not ready.
Mala kutumira mari padeni bo ita cash out nyangwe makuseni uyandi kuratidze ndinayo plan. Oh mari yako mara kutumira mala kutora ndauyane oh mari ati wewe unombochema machaji.
Dial *707#
Okay.
on any Ethernet, Net1 or Telecel number to register and start transacting on O-Money today. Cash in or cash out USD for free. No charges, no IMTT tax at any OK. Bon Marché, TM Pick and Pay, Spa, Cabs, Old Mutual,
No,
and
we're
many
waiting
more
for her.
nationwide. Old Money is the new USD wallet from Old Mutual. Register today on *707#.
A very good afternoon to you all, Old Mutual Management, distinguished guests, and our esteemed clients watching online. It is my honor to welcome you to our International Women's Day celebrations. My name is Akudzwe Mangami, and I am your MC for today. For everyone watching online, let us know where you are watching from in the chat box. A little bit of housekeeping. You are reminded to keep your microphones on mute. You may make use of the chat box feature to ask questions and to interact with us throughout the session. There will be a designated Q&A session after our guest speaker speaks and after the panel discussion. During and after the event, we encourage you to share our hashtags for the event: Inspire Inclusion, hashtag Count Her In, accelerate progress through the empowerment of women. I would like to call upon Zimbabwe Old Mutual Women's Network chairperson, Kudakwashe Mswaka, to give us her introductory remarks.
Invited guests and speakers, all protocols observed. Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to the OWN 2024 International Women's Day celebration. We thank you for your presence here today. Allow me to begin by providing a brief overview of what OWN stands for. OWN stands for Old Mutual Women's Network. OWN is a diverse and inclusive network of women and men employed by Old Mutual. Through various initiatives and programs, OWN provides a platform for members to connect, to learn, and to grow, both personally and professionally, fostering an environment that is supportive of growth. The Old Mutual Women's Network is a testament to the commitment to fostering a workplace that not only values diversity and inclusion, but actively cultivates it through concrete initiatives. To amplify our reach and make a meaningful impact, we harness the influence of the Old Mutual brand to raise awareness about significant issues affecting women and the wider community. Moreover, we have forged strategic partnerships to help us achieve our goals. Here are a few examples of the initiatives and partnerships that we have undertaken. In partnership with a not-for-profit led by young girls, we contributed to the global fight against period poverty by donating sanitary ware to girls in remote parts of the country. The sanitary ware was donated by the staff of Old Mutual through a Donate a Day campaign. This initiative highlights the collective effort and commitment of Old Mutual staff in making a positive impact and supporting girls in need. Another initiative to raise awareness about key changes to the Marriage Act, we partnered with the Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association and other recognizable personalities to discuss the implications of the changes and practical solutions for personal empowerment of women and men too. This session attracted participants from both the local and diaspora communities. In 2023, we introduced a mentorship series named Your Own Mentor, providing mentorship to both men and women in Old Mutual. Topical issues that were covered included menopause, the implications on personal and professional life. The importance of mentorship was another topic, and leveraging LinkedIn for enhancing your personal brand. These examples are just a glimpse of our efforts, showcasing Old Mutual and Zimbabwe's commitment to the empowerment of women, and the commitment to make a positive difference in the communities where Old Mutual operates. Moving forward, as OWN, we will continue to focus on supporting women through coaching and mentorship, whilst leveraging partnerships to expand our reach and impact. Today, as OWN, we bring to you our 2024 International Women's Day celebration, held under the theme #InspireInclusion. International Women's Day, celebrated on the 8th of March every year, offers an opportunity to reflect on the progress made, an opportunity to call for change, and an opportunity to celebrate acts of courage and determination by ordinary women who have played an extraordinary role in the history of their societies. The theme, Inspire Inclusion, underscores the crucial role of inclusion in achieving gender equality and encourages everyone to recognize the unique perspectives and contributions of women. The theme, #InspireInclusion, also aligns with the priority theme for the United Nations, Count Her In, accelerating gender equality through economic empowerment. The UN theme focuses on examining pathways to greater economic inclusion for women and girls everywhere. The theme recognizes that despite progress, women face significant obstacles to achieve equal participation in the economy. Therefore, there is a call for ensuring equal opportunity for women and girls to build their capabilities and strengthen their capacity to learn, to earn, and to lead. Inclusion is important to Old Mutual, and today we come together to hear the stories of women and men amongst us and how they've navigated and remained resilient on their personal journeys. As I close, let us remember collectively we can all #InspireInclusion. Let's all please stand up and let's pose together at the count of 3 in the International Women's Day pose for inclusion. Ladies, gentlemen, please stand up. #InspireInclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's join the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our chairperson, Kudakwashe Mswaka, for those introductory remarks. I have the honor of introducing our esteemed guest speaker, Kunyalala Mapisa. Kunyalala is a Zimbabwean-born commercial attorney turned entrepreneur and businesswoman and a social activist. She has more than 15 years in commercial law experience and has worked in multiple countries around the continent. She founded a Johannesburg-based investment and advisory firm in 2018, making her the first investment. She recently joined Empretec and Services Unit. She holds a Master of Laws and a Bachelor of Laws degrees from the University of Cape Town, UCT, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Public Policy and Industrial Relations, also from UCT. Kunyalala has served as the president of the Businesswomen's Association of South Africa, the largest association of the professional and businesswomen in South Africa. She serves on the board of PPC Limited, a cement company listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, parent company of PPC Zimbabwe. She also serves on the governing council for the University of Cape Town. Kunyalala will share her story, the journey, its challenges, and what was required of her to achieve her success. Let's give her a round of applause as she takes the floor.
Good morning. If I'm looking a little bit nervous, it's because I'm a little terrified. I've done a couple of speaking engagements, and it always helps when you have the sense that everybody you are speaking to is in the same room. But as it turns out, a significant chunk of the people that we are talking to this morning are not in the room. But Akuzwe, thank you so much for that kind introduction. Thank you to CABS and Old Mutual for this wonderful honor and for this invitation. You know, sometimes we say that it's so many years later when we talk about women empowerment and women inclusion, for us to still be having conversations sometimes may appear discouraging. But what we have learned is that we need to continuously have these conversations until we get to a point where it is no longer a conversation, but it is something that we do on a day-to-day. And I'm also glad that the conversations have shifted from talking about the reasons why we need women to be included, to the fact that it is what it is, that is what we need to do, because it is understood that if 50% of the people are not engaged in economic activity, what kind of world are we living, or what kind of future are we building? So I'm really glad to be here. I'm really inspired to be here. And I congratulate Old Mutual for the work that you do. Congratulate CABS for the work that you do in as far as issues of inclusion are concerned. Please forgive me, I cannot see anymore. Yeah, I think one of the things that I was asked to speak about was, you know, a little bit of my story and who I am and how I got to be where I am, and how I got to be here. So I come from a very big family. First of all, I was born in Plumtree many years ago. And I come from a very big family of 10. I'm number 9, and as you can imagine, when there are so many people around, you tend to be forgotten. So you have to work really, really hard to kind of stand out. And for me, the work didn't include any gimmicks or any I just used to stand still and watch what is happening around me. Because, you know, I always say I come from a family of really, really high achievers. I mean, I think amongst the 10 of us, we have about 16 university degrees. So you can imagine even going to school is not that amazing. You're just, you know, you are just one of everybody doing what everybody's supposed to be doing. And so you then have to stand back and sit still and observe what's happening, so that you can identify your spot in the middle of all of that. I think the concept of walking into a space and sitting back and observing and identifying a spot is something that I then became an MO in how I work and in how I proceed in the spaces that I have found myself. And I also learned that everybody is always chasing something. Everybody is on their journey. There isn't anybody who is standing there trying to figure you out and trying to figure your story out. You have to figure your own story out. And so this goes to the heart of the conversations around inclusion and the heart of the conversation around empowerment, because a lot of the times we sit back and think that somebody must empower you. There's a significant chunk of that requires you to do something about the space that you want to occupy. So we are always appreciative of spaces that are conscious of the fact that there is inclusion that is necessary, but you also recognize the fact that you have to actually get up and walk into that space and claim that space. That's something that I learned quite a bit early in my life. And then I think one of the things that I was asked was also perhaps to share some of the lessons that I have learned through the journey that I have walked. I mean, I don't know if I've even walked half the journey that I think I can walk. I still think that I'm out there winging it like the next person. And I'm still hoping that one day I will have a story to tell. Right now, I'm still living that story. But I will share a little bit of whatever that is that I'm currently doing to the extent that perhaps it might be useful to somebody, perhaps it can be encouraging to somebody, and perhaps it can be inspiring. So one of the first lessons I've learned through my journey is the issue of claiming your space. And I think I've already mentioned a little bit about this. And claiming space is not a wrestling match. It's not, cutting somebody's feet so that you can sit where they are sitting. But it's just identifying where you fit in the value chain. Because I think we spend so much time running and chasing that sometimes you just don't stop and see what's going on around you. And you might find that actually that what you are looking for is, it's right there where you're sitting. So what I learned was, as I was saying, for me to claim the space that's around me, when everybody else is running and going that direction, you might actually find that there where you are standing is the space that you want to be at, and you don't actually need to be to be running. And so what I try and do is run less and observe more, and to the extent that I can just sit in the same space. And sitting in the same space means, I don't mean like just sitting there the whole day. I mean like just being in the space that you are that you are in. As I've already said, I learned that people are very busy. People are busy trying to find their own footing. People are busy trying to learn. People are busy trying to live. And they're just busy doing their own thing. Nobody is really necessarily thinking about you. I always say that, to the extent that, maybe our parents would have been thinking about us on a day-to-day basis, but if your parents are late like mine are, then you know that you're out there on the street making it work. So the second lesson that I learned, of course, with my family, I mean, I speak as if, like I said, I come from a family of 10. We are very close in all that, madness that it is. We are a very close-knit family. We encourage each other, we support each other, but at the same time, and at the end of the day, you realize that, it is your life to live, and you have to go out there and live it. The second lesson that I learned in terms of, in the area of inclusion is that you have to claim your success. You have to claim your ideas. I think a lot of the times we second guess ourselves. You are not sure whether what I'm going to say is going to make sense. Am I clever enough? That person looks cleverer than I am. It's not true. There's always this issue that when we are, particularly women on boards, firstly you sit at the corner of the room, and then you say something, and then nobody really listens. Or when they do, everybody will look at you and hear what you are saying, and then they continue. And then some random guy in the meeting will say exactly the same thing that you said, and then it's like, oh, what a brilliant idea. And you're like, but I just said that. So I learned to say, but I just said that. Not in a crazy, offensive way that makes you look a bit bad, but I think that one has to claim their voice, to claim your ideas, to claim your success, because everybody else is looking to claim some success of sorts, and if you don't claim yours, somebody's going to claim it on your behalf. And I think that's something that we don't do very well as women, because it's like, you just go and sit at the back and say, yeah, but I was thinking about that too. Yeah, well, you didn't say it, so it's going to go into somebody else's, I don't know, it's going to be something that is going to be attributable to somebody else and not yourself. And so that's something that I learned, that you have to find a way in which you, particularly as a woman, particularly in a competitive space, you have to find a way in which what you say is actually heard, and articulate yourself that in a manner that that is heard. Another lesson that I've learned is the issue of networks. A lot of these kind of networks, I'm looking at this Old Mutual Women's Network. First of all, I think I heard from the president when she was speaking that it's not a network just for women, but it's also made up of men and women within Old Mutual, within CABS, who recognize the fact that for the success of the company lies in everybody being included, and I really think that that is fantastic. But also these kind of networks create the kind of connectivities that we need. Yes, we can sit in our own work and do our work on a day-to-day, but you find that we get to where we get by exchanging ideas, sharing experiences. And the one thing that I learned very early on was the power of networks. I started getting involved in different networks when I was working in South Africa. I was actually still in Cape Town at the time, and I'll see people doing something on television, and I'm like, okay, they seem to be busy. Where is this happening? I'm a curious person. I want to know, like, why is everybody doing what they are doing? And you go and you sit and you listen, through a lot of the networks that I got to be involved with, I created a lot of successes that I know for a fact I never would have been able to just being on my job every day. I did my job. I think I did it well. I think so. But I always found that I supplemented that what I did with all the other activities that kept me engaged, understanding the world around me, understanding what is happening, understanding who is doing what, and just just being out there. And the other lesson that I learned was the issue of volunteerism. So my involvement with various networks, the Businessmen's Association, this was through volunteerism, because these are not spaces where you get paid for anything. You go, you meet really, really incredible women that build you, that build your success, and you volunteer. You make yourself available. To the extent that you've got a professional qualification that you can add into a space, you do that. I always encourage my nephews and nieces whenever I'm doing, I'm talking to young people specifically about, just encouraging them on how to get around. I always say volunteer. Go to church, volunteer. Go to the SPCA, clean a dog, do something. So I think that it's because you meet different people that are doing different things that are different from the work that that you do on a day-to-day. And whenever I see companies that take that kind of idea seriously, I really feel inspired, and I think that's something that I definitely like to encourage. So my journey, I think earlier during the introduction, we spoke about the fact that I was the president of the Businesswomen's Association of South Africa. Again, it was just through volunteering, through meeting people that thought you had a good idea to add, that thought you had something interesting to contribute, and through that you then growing outside your work, learning, meeting different people, but you are also growing within your work, because all those skills that we learn outside just the pure professional environment, it's a skill that you bring within your professional environment. And whenever we talk to companies and talking about how they, they can get involved outside, it's not just throwing money at kids or throwing money at something, but it's also getting your employees to actually get out of their desk and go and spend the day doing something, go spend the day cleaning the streets. I understand there's an initiative here where I think officials go and clean, the streets in Bare, and they go and clean the streets somewhere. And I think that's important, because we learn about ourselves, we learn about the world around us through doing some of those things. So I learned, in order for me to grow how I grew in my professional space, it was also getting involved in things that had absolutely nothing to do with my work, and as a result, I was able to do a lot of what I ended up doing. Another lesson is mentorship and champions. Mentorship is not just a formal relationship that you have with perhaps an older person that has done the work that you have done, therefore you want to realize or you want to learn how you can grow. It can be your peer, it can be somebody who is younger than you, it may be somebody who doesn't even know that you consider them your mentor, but it's somebody that you learn from, it's somebody that you see how they do what they do, it's somebody that you see how they have succeeded in where they have succeeded. And so I always say, again, when I speak to young people and I encourage them, I always say, get a mentor. And it's not a young people's conversation. Everybody needs a mentor, particularly in the workplace. You need a champion. I know that I rose. I was Ernst & Young once upon a time, and I had a elderly white man who was, who was sort of about to exit, and he took a liking to me, and he used to encourage me, and he used to sit and where there's an opening, he would call me out and say, you know what, there's this that's happening, I think you need to think this way, I think you're a really bright young lady, you need to be looking at this and that. And I later on in years, I realized that, a lot of, again, my success in that space was because I had somebody who had almost appointed themselves as a champion, but it's also somebody that I sought out to be a form of a champion. And to the extent that you can, it's not within the workplace; it's also just something that happens outside. And I think in the conversations that we have around inclusion, those that we are looking to include, we also then have to act as those people's champions. We have to act as those people's advisors, because people get into spaces they don't know what to do because they were never mentored into a space. They were never socialized into a space, and they don't know how to navigate. And I think that's something that is really important. So in any space that one finds themselves in, I think that is something that is absolutely important. And I think this is another lesson that I've already spoken to, the one of trusting oneself, because I used to be very shy when I grew up. I mean, part of my sitting and sort of just hanging around, looking around, was mainly also because I was a very shy person. I'd walk in a room. I still always sit at the back of a room when I walk into a room, just so that I can observe. But it was also because I was hoping nobody's looking at me because I was so shy. But then when you are that way and you look around, you also see that everybody is trying. And I think this is a point that I've made. And through that, I learned to trust myself. That maybe I'm not so bad after all, because what they are saying is something that I was thinking about. So maybe if I had said it, I also might have sounded a little bit as smart as that person just sounded. So trusting yourself is something that is absolutely important, and that's something that I believe in. Another lesson is learning. Always be open to learning. As I was saying, some of the things that I've done, the volunteering, the work that I find myself sometimes in the most random places where I just can't even explain to you why I'm there, but it's because I'm just curious. I want to see what people are doing, not because but just it's interesting what people do, and I learn from that. And I always say that learning is a lifelong journey, and I'm still learning. I don't think that I'm anywhere near a point where I can start, sharing journeys or sharing stories, but I can just share a bit of what I do on the day in order to to get to where I am. Taking risk. I think one of the conversations we always get asked, particularly as women, is the issue of risk. It's very risky to go into business. What if this thing fails? We want financial security. Therefore, we perhaps stay in spaces that we shouldn't necessarily be in. And then I think my response to that is always the same. Everything is a risk. When you get up out of bed in the morning, you might fall and break a leg. It's a risk. So you learn to get out of bed in a particular way without breaking anything. When you get into your car, God forbid, something may happen on the road. You don't know that. So the life we lead every day has all manner of risks. Of course, we do everything that we can in order to mitigate those risks, because by taking risk, it doesn't mean that one has to be irresponsible. But there's no other way to say the business is risky. By its very nature, is risky. I am quite certain that Old Mutual has got a very big department that deals with just risk, because they understand that it exists. They understand that it is there. They find ways. They find methods. They find ways to mitigate that risk, but because they recognize that is there. So we have to take the risk if we want to go into business, and you will fail. I have failed so many times I can't even tell you. I can't tell you the number of businesses that I've started. Really, I cannot tell you. In fact, when I decided I need to start, trying to see what's happening back home, and if one can get involved in something, if one can invest in something. Invested in a small IT company. It's sort of fledgling around and tagging along. I believe that will make it work, but it was a huge risk. It is a huge, in fact, I can't say it was a huge risk because we are still in the middle of the risk or the risky period. We probably will never get out of the risky period if you think about business as being that risky. But it's something that one says, you know what, if I don't do it now, when will I do it? Because I probably will never, get the opportunity. And to the extent that I have the opportunity, then I might as well get on with it and do it. And having said all that, I also always say, as a takeaway lesson for me that I've learned is to be kind. Be kind to ourselves, to be kind to those around us, to be kind to, because you don't know the story that all of us carry. You meet somebody, you don't know what their story is. We are working so hard. I mean, in the middle of getting there and trying to get to the next stage, you find that, you may not treat people how it should be, how we should, and I have found that, the people that have treated me with kindness are the people that I always remember the most, and I always say that when I then walk out there and meet whoever I meet, I always try to be kind, not because I'm being pretentious or trying to be just. It takes nothing away from one. It really doesn't take away anything from from myself. It doesn't take anything from the next person. And I just think that that's a lesson amongst all the things that I always talk about. When I talk about lessons, I always think that just the one thing that I've learned is that issue of kindness, and also building others. I always say that again. I got to where I got to because of the mentors that I had, because of the champions that I had, and because of the women around me. I mean, when I look back and look at most of the most significant, positions that I've held, it was a woman that approached me and said, you know what, I think you can do this. Or we said, you know, Kunya, I think there's an opportunity here. Maybe you need to look at this. There's a story that we sell around and say, oh, maybe women don't support each other. It's not true. I have my most successful work that I've done is working with women. And so when we talk about issues of inclusion, is also understanding and appreciating competence, understanding and appreciating diversity in thinking. Because when we talk about inclusion, when we talk about it's not just because we are saying 50% of the world must be included. It's not just because of you know, all the formulas that have been made that tell us that you know, when women participate in the workplace, it's got a positive effect on the bottom line. But it's also that it's really just something that we need to be doing. So I don't know if there's I think I'll stop here. I don't know if there's any questions or whether the questions are online to the people that are out there watching and listening. I hope this has helped somebody somehow, somewhere. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think some of the lessons I took from your speech was to share your ideas and thoughts, to join a network, to volunteer, to get involved with things that have absolutely nothing to do with me, to find a mentor, to trust myself, to continue learning, to take a risk, to be kind to myself, and to build others. We want to give a shout out to everyone watching from Mutual Gardens, Cabs Northridge Park, Cabs Hauna, Cabs Gwanda. One of the questions we'd like to pose to you are, considering the vast experience you've had, you did say you have started many businesses and failed. We wanted to ask on behalf of the women in our organization, how can women build confidence in investing and entrepreneurship?
Wow, I'm looking at you because I'm trying to think how to answer that question. How can you build confidence in order to invest and become an entrepreneur? I think, again, trusting yourself and trusting your idea is something that comes to mind. Because when you study other entrepreneurs and what they have done, yeah, some people are really super bright and they've got fantastic ideas that you just don't even understand how somebody thinks about some of the things that they think about. But some of them have got really, really simple ideas. It's just working at it every single day. And this is something that I'm also still learning, you know, as an entrepreneur. In fact, recently I joined an organization called Empretech. Empretech is a training and is an entrepreneurship training and development company that is based here in Harare. And part of what we do is you know, is training entrepreneurs with different programs that we run for entrepreneurship. Those kind of platforms and those kind of you know, networks are places that assist you in understanding firstly the interpersonal skills that it takes for you to be an entrepreneur. There are some things that you can learn, of course. There are some things that you are born with. Some people are just born fighting and persevering, and they make it. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to be that way. You can learn some of those skills, and you go to organizations such as Empretech, and you learn some of those skills. But they also do programs for enterprises themselves, because when you're a small fledgling enterprise, there are a few things that you can learn. There are a few things that you can be doing in order to become better. So the first thing is, again, trust yourself. The second thing, go out there and find information. Go out there and talk to people who know what it is that, you know, who have ideas of how you can build your enterprise, and that normally helps. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much for that. I will swiftly move on to our panel discussion. If you do have questions for our guest speaker, feel free to type them in the chat box. Maybe we will get a minute to pick one or two questions at the end of the session. And so, as I introduce our moderator for the panel discussion, we would like to inform you that we have a panel of very accomplished professionals that will be joining us on stage today. They will speak about their personal and professional experiences, their practical solutions to navigating gender disparities, and they will share their experiences as well on financial matters and give practical ideas to increase financial security for women and much more. So allow me to introduce our CABS marketing executive, Lindiwe Tebe, to moderate the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Akudzwe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to settle. So to our audience in person, welcome. I trust you're enjoying the conversation. And to our audience online, thank you for joining us. Our staff at Old Mutual, our staff at CABS, and our staff at Omari. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. So as introduced by Akudzwe, I am Lindiwe Tebe. We are all about, okay, thanks. So today we are all about sharing experiences. Kunya has shared her experiences, and we are just about to get a few more nuggets from our panelists. So with me today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Hard Life Naringo joining us as a panelist. Hard Life, if I may call you to the stage. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are indeed inspiring inclusion. Count her in, count him in. We all contribute. Thanks, Hard Life. I also have Tidings Chimponda. Tidings, if I may call you to the stage. And last but not least, we've got Anesu Mutasa. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Tidings. I believe in the authenticity of a personal story. And it is that story that inspires somebody. If you can tell us briefly about who you are and your story as Tidings.
Okay, I'm Tidings Chiponda. I'm born in a family of 4. I'm the only girl. And as it would be in my mother's side of the family, I was the only granddaughter for the greater part of my life. Wow. And what I learned early in life is if you're born in a population where it's mostly male, they forget that you're a girl. So I grew up and I had to survive in that environment. But what has always been great for me is that all the women in my life have always been so authentic. I stayed with my grandmother for a very long time. She was a teacher, and my mom was a teacher. Mm-hmm. My aunts were entrepreneurs, but everybody around me I grew up being told how brilliant I was. Wasn't much that I used to do, but I think because I used to scrounge around and survive with those rough boys, it was a testament maybe to my willingness to survive in any situation. I've, in my own quiet way, I'm not a loud person, in my own quiet way have always tried to fight to get what I want, and it's from that background. Always applied myself to whatever it is that I want to do, and not very good at being told that you cannot do it. So I've studied finance and accounting, but I've gone into operations. I've started a project for women called Moms Are Geniuses, where I work with women in the community to empower them. And just coming from the fact that I used to see my grandmother doing so many brilliant things, but she was very unsung. My mom, she would teach, she would sew, she would travel and buy and sell things, and I just thought she was so amazing. And the more I interacted with a lot of our customers, I work for a very entrepreneurial organization, you'd find that women would start a project. I'll give an example from the Profits perspective, where women would start a project for 25 chickens. They'd always do 25 chickens for years and years. And a guy would start a project for 25 chickens, and in a year or 2 years' time, they're doing 500. So it was just going out there to try and understand what it is that holds us back as women, and what it is that gets the guys going. So in doing that, I realized that men have got access to finance. They've got access to finance because they've got assets that they can use to get funding. They've got access to financial information. They've got access to markets and those sort of things. And what women have is the skill and the honesty and the ability to work hard, but then they don't know how to monetize that. So in my own small way, I said to myself, you know what, these women have the skill, they have the honesty, how do we get them to the next level? And the idea of Moms Are Genius was obviously giving them a hand up. And how do I do that in the space where I'm at without being conflicted in the work that I'm doing professionally? So yeah.
Wow, thanks for that. Yeah, quite rich, quite rich as an introduction. Thanks for that tidings. And Kunya, you spoke about just getting out there and being in a space where people tell you how brilliant you are. She is actually alluding to that. So a lot of it, especially when it comes to lack of confidence, it's because we are not around people who assure us as women, who assure us, especially with ideas that we have, and we need a bit of validation. So yeah, I'm really happy for you that you were raised in an environment that made you more self-aware on your abilities. We move to you, Anesu. Tell us about your story.
Still need help from the guys. Thank you, Lindiwe. So my story is quite an interesting one, and a little bit similar to Tidings. I was born in a very entrepreneurial family. Nobody ever went formal employment because my parents, they didn't have enough money to finish high school, so they were forced into entrepreneurship to figure out how to make a way, to help them understand that you got to figure it out. So my parents ran their own business, and at the age of 10, I started my own business. It was called Rent a Book. So Rent a Book, because me and my friend were like, oh, we've got all of these books lying around. What's going on? And our mothers were encouraging us. They're like, okay, girls, what do you guys want to do? So they took us to the bank, helped us open up a bank account for Rent a Book. And we started our business at the tender age of 10, but the tuck shop was too tempting, so all of our profits went to the tuck shop. So all of the sweets and chocolates and a rent a book ended up being history after a while. And then I went on to pursue my education in the States, my undergrad in finance, and I also did my master's in finance. I wanted to be a stockbroker, but Zimbabwe had other plans. So when I came back from finishing my master's, I couldn't find a job. It was a very tough market. I'd thrown my CV any and everywhere that you can imagine. So I was then forced into entrepreneurship because I had some money from the furniture that I'd sold in the States. So I looked around and I saw what's going on in the environment around me. And there were issues about clean water. So I was like, okay, I've got 2,000 in my pocket. Now so there was a truck that was at my parents' workplace. So I said to them, let me park my little car at a little hatchback. I parked my little car and I took the truck, drove to Rua, went to Megapack, bought 1,000 bottles. I was like, all right, now we're kickstarting this project. But I didn't have the water purification system. So I said, okay, now let me find a partner. So I found a partner that had a purification system. I went around, found printers. And once I got my first set of water out, I did guerrilla marketing. My friends and relatives all had a case of water at their house. And I told them I'll be back in a week to collect payment. So by that, the business grew and grew and grew. And it ended up being all I did until liquidity crisis hit Zimbabwe. And my business tanked because I didn't foresee that maybe some corporates would actually start to struggle and they won't be able to pay some of the debts that they had. So the business tanked, and fortunately for my mother, she sat down and she was like, this is not the end. Failure is not the end. You have to understand, what is it teaching you? What are you teaching? What are you learning from this moment that your business went down so that your next business plan won't suffer the same losses? So picked myself up, and then I got a job, formal employment, and it was very clerical. I was a data capturer. It was a very fancy title to say cashier. So I was a cashier, but after 2 months, I was like, I do not want to stay in this position for a long time. So what I did was I took it upon myself to start to research ways that we can actually make operations better within the company. So I used to stay at work long hours, and then I waited until the retail manager was also at the office when I was there. And I said, I went to one of the sites in Budiriro, I want to present a proposal to you. And he was like, what department are you from? And I was like, oh, I'm the cashier. And he was like, oh, okay. So he was like, yeah, no, present the project. So then he was like, okay, interesting. And it went quiet for like about 3 months or so. And then the wave of innovation finally hit the company. And once the wave of innovation hit the company, the retail manager was like, where's the cashier girl who gave me the proposal? Because she was thinking about pockets of growth. So that's when I started my journey in innovation and understanding what innovation is and how it can impact organizations and create pockets of growth and developing growth strategies. So now I'm an innovation consultant, full-time. It's a lot of hard work, but a lot of fun. Like, I eat, sleep, breathe innovation. And happy to be here. I think that's my story, long and short.
Thank you, Anisu. So let's say if the ops team or if management had not come to you to say, where's that cashier lady, would you have claimed your idea within that organization?
Yes. What I love about corporate, it teaches you CC. So when I pitched the proposal to the retail manager at the time, I said I'll also send it on email, and I CC'd a couple of other people that will benefit from this project. So they knew it was a project.
Well done. I liked the whole point about claiming your idea, claiming your success, and letting everyone know that I really contributed into this, of course, without sounding arrogant as a person. Thanks, Anisu. Hard Life?
Thanks, Lindy. I think the thing about false modesty and false humility in the corporate space, and this thing about claiming your idea, I think it's a big one. It's something that has to be bottled. But I want to start off with what Tidings was speaking about. My mother, I think every Zimbabwean woman has a side hustle of some kind. It could be something in her garden, right? Selling kovo, chomole, or whatever you call it. Selling frizzets from a fridge, maximizing whatever space, communal farming and whatever. My mother fell into this trap. She would raise chickens, 25 by the way, for years and years. And she's now a grandmother, but I don't think she ever went over 25. My wife has just started chickens, 25. And the guys at the guys who sell those day-old chicks said, why don't you take 50? Said, no, I'm taking 25. She came home, she had these 25 chickens. I look at the chicken and I say, look, you have capacity for 100. 25, my project. I'm hoping I can link her up with you and just say, hey, you know, it was quite an eye-opening story. On my part, I am not an entrepreneur by any stretch of imagination. I don't have a bone of risking my own capital in a venture. But I am surrounded by women who make it their day-to-day. The women are not afraid. One of the riskiest things that women can do in their personal lives is mkando, isn't it? Right? That's a risky thing. It doesn't just risk your capital. It risks your network. It risks your friendship. But I think those things are growing, right? Because women are not afraid of the risk. They'll say, we'll make it happen. We'll find a way to make it happen. You know that there'll be a dispute down the road. Linda is going to try and wiggle out of her turn to contribute. But they are not scared to contribute, right? They're not scared. Men who stand around in corners, in bars, at cars, and whatever, talk about everything else, but not business ideas. If a man has a business idea, he will hold it close to himself, and as Tidings said, he will look. A man's idea is never a small idea. A man doesn't like starting small. I will sell a few bottles of water. I will start with 25 chickens. No, the man wants to start with 50 broilers and 1,000 off layers. And so on and so on. The man wants to start big. If you look at the person who wants to start a business in let's say in the transport sector, the man won't say, I'll start with a little truck, jalopy. No, he wants to start with 30 wheelers, right? And I guess that aggression is also enabled because that man probably has the network to say, if I want this without merit, without having demonstrated that they can run it, they just say, well, we trust him at his word. A woman would never be given that chance. Fortunately, I think the world is changing. The world is changing fast. I'm happy to be a part of that world that's changing fast. So just to give you context, and maybe the non-Old Mutual audience context, I am the group legal advisor for Old Mutual, and I also serve as the board secretary for the Old Mutual group. I joined CABS straight out of university, and my first mentor was a lady, Linda Marwante. Those who follow me on LinkedIn know I won't shut up about her. When I went for the CABS interview, I had locks all the way down to my shoulders. She looked at me, she said, I like your ideas, I like your energy. I don't know about the locks. You have a job on Monday, it's yours, as long as you have a haircut. Monday, I had a haircut. She was the first. My second mentor was my first boss, Farre Machawira, head of compliance. And I was, I don't know if there's a deeper color of green. I was raw because I got this job maybe a month or two after graduating. and you think you know it all. You have read all the things, you have read all the judgments, and you can actually tell the MD that this is wrong, this statute says that, this is regulation. You are in their faces, but they had the patience. Fari had the patience to say, look, this is how it's done, this is how it's done, and slowly, I'm very grateful to those two for starting me up. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Which brings me to my final point. It's a testament to where Old Mutual is headed. We had these two in senior positions already back then. But right now, I think we are even in a better state. Our group executive committee, the group exco for the entire group, has 60% women. From our 6 MDs, 4 are women, just 2 are men, which means we are not scared of promoting people, of giving people opportunities based on their competencies and nothing else. That's my brief, Lindsay.
Wow, it's good to hear that from a man, and thank you, Hard Life. So what I really liked about your introductory remarks was how women like to start projects with a minimalistic approach. 25, I think there's something magic about number 25. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually running a road runner project, and I started at 25. At 25, but I've grown it. I'm glad that I've been bold enough to grow it, but I started at 25 last year in July. So to our viewers online, tell us, share with us in the comments, whatever you are buying and selling, what quantities did you start off with? If it's a project, piggery, broilers, road runners, what numbers did you start off with? I think we'd like to hear that from you. Thank you so much. Let's talk about risk. You spoke about risk tidings. Hard Life spoke about risk. Hard Life says women are in a good space to risk relationships through Mikando. Women are in a good space to risk a certain portion of their income to start off the 25 broiler project. How do we strike the balance from moving from the risk of starting, because we have overcome that, to the risk of taking the bolder step? How do we develop our risk appetite as women?
So, Lindu, I'm going to speak about myself and what I've done. For those who are at CABS, I think a lot of them, Haji is not here, but I am the sort of person who didn't realize I was taking risks at the time, and unfortunately, maybe didn't know how to start small. I remember for my first mortgage, I got it from here, and I was single. And I leverage relationships with women. In any organization that I interact with, I will look for the women. And I don't believe women have beef with each other. I actually work very well with women. So I remember there was a lady here called Lucia. I went to her and I said to her, I want a mortgage. And then she told me, this is what you need to do and what's it for? And I'm like, well, I saw a property. I want to rent. I want to buy it. And then I need to put a tenant because I won't be able to pay for it. So I've worked out that if I get the mortgage and I put the person in, I won't have to dip into my finances. And where, I don't know if this is an advantage or not an advantage, as a character, I don't know where to stop. So I was told I don't qualify, and I was like, well, I want to do this, right? So I went from one officer, there was a lady, I think, who was doing mortgages at the time. Unfortunately, I've forgotten her name, and she was like, no, you don't qualify, you're young, experienced, whatnot. And I was like, no, I'll have to see your boss. And I ended up seeing a gentleman called Phil Cameron. There was a guy called Phil Cameron here. He had an office by the corner. So I walked into his office and I was like, well, I need to do this. And he says to me, I'm looking at your pay slip and you really don't have much. And I'm like, well, what do I need to do in order to get much? He says, you're actually a very risky person to put a bet on. I'm like, so who what would I have to do in order for me to get the mortgage? Gave me a list of requirements, and I said, well, if I've got all of this, I don't need a mortgage. Right. So you tell people that you're out to help them, but you're not really. You're just taking money. So we had this conversation, and I think it went on for 2-3 months, and that place was still there. There was a foreigner who was selling the place and didn't have many offers. In the end, he gave up, and he gave in to me, and I got my first mortgage. Now, it was very risky because I assumed that I was going to get a tenant who was going to pay a certain amount of money, and they didn't, right? And so now I was like, I did get a tenant finally. They were not paying what I thought they were going to pay, and I was scrimping. I moved into my aunt's place, and I just needed to sell this place. And then my aunt said to me, you know what? You need to do other things. I'll lend you some money. You need to get another job where you're paid better, but you need to do other things. So I started consulting for her, doing her books in order to augment my income. And then I had to write a letter to CAB. So if you go through your records, I wrote a letter to say, listen, had to be honest and put my hand up and say, I thought I could do this, but I can't, so I may need to sell. How I then decided to de-risk myself, because I had taken a risk and I was a risk, I approached my parents, I approached my aunt, I approached a friend to say, can you guys be partners with me in this thing and we own it together? So what am I saying about taking risks? A lot of the times when you know too much, and as women, we overanalyze and we don't take risks. Guys don't do that. So because I didn't know enough about what I was going into, I am one of the people who bought my first property when I was like 22 years old, and I pulled it off. But that one decision that I made, I feel sort of set me for life, because whenever I needed to do any project, the first thing that asked me is, do you have title deeds? And I had them. But how I got them, only I know what those 10 years were like. It propelled me to work hard. It propelled me. The risk that I took unknowingly, it made me work hard to make sure that I paid it off, and it set me to be able to do bigger things. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that as women, we need to be audacious. I was audacious unknowingly. I stumbled on it, but I do think we need to be audacious and we need to stretch ourselves.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. So you raise a very important point. You got a mortgage and you thought you would find a tenant for the property. You eventually got a tenant, but it didn't perform so well in terms of you collecting the rentals. I mean, I'm sure it's a story that everyone can actually relate with when running a business. You are told how brilliant this venture is by somebody running it. Try to get into it. Try to get a property, get a tenant. You will find one that doesn't pay. You will find one who will just, I don't know, do something to that property. Try a roadrunner project. Something else happens. The market is flooded. Try the broilers. Try Juta. Try all sorts of things. Anesu, as an entrepreneur, how have you managed to stay focused despite these challenges, the challenges of sourcing the markets, the challenges of even running a loss-making enterprise? How do you get yourself out of that kind of a mess?
Thank you for that. A lot of the times, you always have to remember that this too shall pass. Everything has a season, and what I realized with business, and especially business in Zimbabwe, is consistency is more important than intensity. So slow down, do what you need to do, put the structures in place. If it means we're making $100 this month, let it be the $100 this month. Because eventually we'll turn the tide and we'll be at the 10,000 next month and the following month and the following month. But it also comes with understanding simple business principles about understanding your cash flow management, your governance issues, continuity. And one training that I love doing with entrepreneurs when I'm doing my SME trainings is the pivot or persevere. So the pivot or persevere, we generally talk about, do you stay the course with what you're currently doing? Are you looking at what the entire environment is telling you right now? In the next 6 months, do you think the tide will turn? So persevere on that same path. Or do you need to maybe change strategies and do something else? I'll use myself as an example. Yeah, I've started many businesses. I used to have a meal prep business. And what I used to do is supply what I called my gym junkies. So it was a keto-focused meal prep service because I love cooking. And what we'll do is you get your meals, a minimum of 10 meals a week, and you'd pick up your order every Sunday. And then load shedding started happening. So I was now faced with the issue of pivot or persevere because it was a great business plan. Because a lot of people who are working out in the gym usually lose focus because of their food. So if they already have the meals prepared for them, it makes things so much easier. And usually at our peak, we were selling like 120 meals a week. So we were busy in the kitchen. But now a lot of our clients fell off because they said, my food will go bad because I have no electricity for the next 12 hours. So I had to get creative. And I started secret dinners. So secret dinners was now you get your specialist friends, they come together, we reveal a special meal and a special location each time when we do the meals. But that kept the business going, and it also kept the revenues going. So it's about also understanding your environment, understanding if you should carry on the path and what you should change or how you should change it. But obviously not straying away from what your core business is. So it takes a lot of tenacity and a lot of conversations with yourself that this too shall pass, and just keep chugging along because the tide will turn.
Thank you for that. Remaining consistent. You can't be doing broilers today. Tomorrow it's something else, and what. Stay in that business for good, unless you have a justified reason to leave it. Hard life. Women tend to focus more on family. Focus more on providing for their family, short-term financial goals. What are we going to eat today? How am I going to raise the fees for next term? How do I put something aside just in case my child falls sick? How do you think women can balance between the short-term financial goals and the long-term financial goals that would then allow them to venture into more substantial financial activities or economic activities?
Thanks, Lindy. I just want to start by saying I could hear you giving yourself a prep talk in front of the audience. You have to stay with your chicken project. I think it's a difficult balance. Unfortunately, I think gender-biased roles still exist, and those make it very difficult for a person to jump out of that box. If someone tells you they've escaped that box, maybe they've minimized the impact that that box has on their lives. You find, for instance, in the kitchen, at home, despite best efforts, it's largely still women who do most of the work in there. And you find after a long day at the office as an executive, or in this project or in that project, perhaps it's not even anything that you register, but the kids, I'm not sure if they are biologically wired to want certain things from their mother and not their dads. It doesn't matter if the mom is trying to have a downtime and the husband can cook and do all these things. I'll just tell you, no. The first person we talk to, we interact to, we seek comfort from, we seek solace from is mom. Right? Even if she tries to lock her doors and say, guys, give me maybe 30 minutes to recover. Right? It's unfortunately. That's what women will have to contend with first. How do I balance the family demands without burning out, keeping my intensity in my business, staying the course as you're prepping yourself? It's a very hard thing to do. And I don't think I would be able to do it. But surprisingly, our mothers, our sisters, our wives, they do it every day. I don't know what the reward there is in that balance. Is it something emotional? I don't know. I'm not an expert here. But what I can say is the struggle is very real, and it continues to affect almost all the women. But that being said, in terms of ensuring that you get a little bit of balance, I think for non-entrepreneurs in the formal workplace, the fight is outside your personal circumstances. The fight is a bit bigger, it's macro. So you will find, because of the fight that different associations in different iterations, women's associations, lawyers, NGOs, because of the fight they keep having, you will then see, for instance, the changes in the maternity laws recently. You don't have to have served all this time for you to qualify for paid maternity leave. Some organizations are going over and above, say, the 90 days maternity leave, you can get an extra month, and so on. So I think the fight around that balance also has to be at a macro level, because you can't do everything by yourself, and sometimes what works for you won't work for everyone else. But there is a baseline that we say as a country, as a continent, as the world, there is a baseline that we need. We say, so for this particular bit, I think the one that we took for granted that's been around for a long time was about breastfeeding mothers, right? You get to knock off at whatever time, was it 3 p.m.? If you're a breastfeeding mother. In its small way, it has its own benefits, but I think there's room for more that can liberate women in the workplace so that they can find that balance. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Hard Life. Tidings, as a professional woman who's done very well in the corporate space, Kunya spoke about finding a sponsor, finding a destiny connector, finding somebody who just says, Lindy, you can do this. Do you think we have enough people to be doing that with women in the workspace? People who can propel them to the spaces they would like to go, sitting in the boards, sitting in the executive positions, or even contributing meaningfully at whatever positions they occupy.
Okay, can I comment on something he said and then, yeah. So what I've picked up about wanting to get, I'm going to speak about my own experience, about wanting to get ahead, and the laws around accommodating us as women when we birth, when we breastfeed and whatever, is that they'll be there, right? And I don't know if this speaks to a lot of people, but they'll be there. But if you take advantage of it, you get left behind. I remember when I gave birth to my second child, I had the option to take a break and everything, but something happened in the economy. And I had to make a choice. And I remember I could have stayed on leave and let everybody else run with the opportunity that was there. But I made a choice where, luckily, my mother-in-law jumped in, my mom and my aunts all jumped in, and they came to live with me and make sure that I was comfortable. I asked for that help because I think I gave birth on a Friday, and on the Monday there was a new monetary policy that changed the way everything was done, and I could have stayed at home and sort of lost relevance in the process, or I could have gone back to work. So I chose to go back to work. And I remember what I did is, I think my baby was 2 days old, and the only way I could be in that space was I made the office come to my house. I made people bring their computers to my house so that I could help navigate this new policy that had come into space. So what I sort of did is, I was on leave, and I said, if I sit this out, I'm going to lose on this opportunity, so I made the work come to me. I said, guys, I can help you with this. And because I saw the gap where they needed my help, but they were going to go and hire someone else to do it. But I said, I'm here already and I can do it. So I had a whole lot of computers set up at my house. I had a lot of my subordinates coming, and they would come and in between breastfeeding and in between the baby waking up to sleep, I would be working. And then I had the support, obviously, of, I don't know if I asked them to come. I just sort of said to my mother-in-law, you have to be here. And I sort of said to my mom, you have to be here. So I just wanted to say that sometimes the laws are there, but when we take advantage of them, there's a possibility of losing out. So you find that even if there's a lot of legislation around supporting us, it doesn't quite take away the natural aspect of that. I'm a nurturer, I'm a mom, right? And I want to be a mom, and I'm unapologetic about it. But there are certain things about being that stand in the way of me getting ahead. And it's so real, and I think only women can speak to that, and being in that position. And my boss didn't ask me to come back to work. He was very sympathetic about the fact that I just had a child, but I mean, I'm ambitious, and I could see that if I let this go, it will be gone. So I had to make a decision, and I had to forego the provision that had been made to say, okay, fine, she's a mom, she's given birth, and then because as we navigated, I just had to work through that period, and it's a sacrifice I had to make to ensure that I get to the level that I wanted to get to eventually. So you find sometimes we have to make these sacrifices that men don't have to make, you know, and it makes it so much harder as a career woman, especially in an institution, because if you're away on maternity leave and an opportunity arises, and even if you were in line for it, they'll just take who's there, whereas men never have to go on maternity. So there is that, you know. So I just wanted to highlight that. And then in terms of mentors, I've worked with different people, not necessarily always in my organization. I think my biggest mentor has been Nigel Philp, who is my current boss. How he's been my mentor is not so much in showing me what to do, but in challenging me to get out of my comfort zone. He's a dreamer, he's an entrepreneur, and he's built like this whole array of business, and none of us had an experience on any of the businesses that are there. But he would come up with a dream, and like I said, one of the, I don't know if it's a weakness or a strength, but I don't know when to stop. So if you say to me, we want to start manufacturing corn soya blend, I'll be like, we can manufacture corn soya blend, and I will go and find out how to do it, and I'll do it. So the biggest thing for me in working in an entrepreneurial organization has been the learning and being constantly pushed out of my comfort zone, from forming a company to setting up a manufacturing business to finding investors and that sort of stuff, which I had absolutely no experience in. But just having somebody who has faith in you to say, well, if other people can do it, you can do it, and then giving you the leeway to make the decisions, to get the help that you need, to say, this is the, well, I'm going to go and hire a lawyer who's going to take us through this. I'm going to go and hire a technocrat who's going to assist us to set XYZ up. So being given the opportunity to help create things that were not there, and now they are there, and everyone is talking about the fact that there's a pro this, pro that. Being part of that creative process has been the most rewarding thing for me, and what has been most humbling is being trusted to take that leap. And when you make the mistakes, and there are big mistakes that you make when you're setting something like that up, having someone who says, you know what, we are both new at this, and we've tried it and we've failed, but they don't put you down to say, oh, because you failed, you know. You have the tough talks, but you then have the opportunity to fix it. That is one of the most empowering experiences I've had.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Maybe if I can also get your view. Moms are geniuses. You run such an institution, and you are saying you don't stop at anything. How do we close the gender pay gap? So we've got these women within an institution who would put their all, and as research suggests, they are actually not remunerated in a manner men are remunerated. How do we as women get to a space where we can actually have courageous conversations with our bosses, with our employers, and close that gender pay gap? Is there such a thing? Would we ever get to such a space?
I think to her point is you need to own the things that you do. You need to ask. You need to ask, and unfortunately, as a woman, it will be like you sort of like you have to be grateful for what you're getting, but you know what it is that you need. I remember having that conversation, and maybe it's because I've got a different type of boss. At the very beginning of our interaction, I wanted a pay rise, but I wanted it for the sake of wanting it, because, you know, like I said, I'm the sort of person who doesn't stop. If I see a little gap, I'll try and go for it, right? So I says to me, why don't you write down the things that you need? At the point, I was this Bulawayo girl, not very sophisticated. I didn't know that I needed a lot of things. So I wrote, and when I wrote those things, my pay was also kind of enough, you know. So wanted to lie and say, and I said, no, if I lie, it won't work. But it also showed me that I didn't want a lot for myself. So when I sat down with him, he said to me, oh, but what about your entertainment? What about your savings? What about your this? So this is where, as women, we also need to understand that he sort of alluded to it, where we are nurturers. And because we're nurturers, we, even when it comes to work, you feel sorry for your employer. You don't want to ask for a lot. Whereas a guy who knows half what you know is very audacious. He will come and ask for double, right? And we also require so little. You sort of like have somebody saying to you, but you sort of like need somebody to prompt you to say, you know what, but you use a certain type of weave. and you have to do a side hustle to do that. And you never put it in your expenses. I know it seems very petty, but I'm trying to speak to something that we require, you know, as women. We require things that for grooming ourselves, which men don't have in their budget. I think put it in your budget. It's something that you require. And if you're the sort of person who needs to go on holiday every school holiday with your kids, put it in your budget. Because we've sort of accustomed ourselves that we need to do something and sacrifice and whatever in order to have a holiday. But when a man is applying for a job, he puts an entertainment allowance. None of us ever do that. You know, we are naturally very humble, and we don't ask. We expect for our efforts to be recognized. So what I encourage is ask. The worst that can happen is no, and that's what you were 2 minutes ago. You understand? And then ask again. Even if they say no, what's the harm in asking again? Probably say no, and then they'll get to a point like Phil did, where they get so annoyed and just do it and give it to you. I don't think there's, because you're not in their psyche, and they're used to the fact, we minimize ourselves a lot. A lot of us are so used to the fact that we have a boss that has to validate us and whatever. You know that you do the work. But because you do the work and then somebody consolidates it and then they take credit for it, you feel that they also deserve that credit. You also need not just ask for the pay, but also ask for the position or take the position. And I'm of the attitude that if you're not called to the table, just take your chair along and sit.
Wow, thanks for that. Anesu, you'd like to react to that and maybe also cover for us on how women can then close the gap on wealth accumulation. The World Economic Forum report in 2022 actually stated that women were lagging in terms of wealth accumulation. How do we close such gap as women, noting that we actually just about 50% of the world population?
Lindy, I don't appreciate that tough question. But what I wanted to add to what Tidings talked about speaks to something our keynote speaker referenced, that don't just sit and expect people to empower you while you're sitting. Tidings, you closed by just saying, bring your chair. So the one thing, I always speak from the corporate angle, is that in order to be part of the conversations, again, at a macro level, the Institute of Directors is running a very good program that's focused on women. They are running a very good training program that will expose young women to what it's like to be on boards. And from there, you can really, if you are on the board, you can also talk about the pay gap. I would strongly recommend to our audience, the young and ambitious women, to check it out. Just see, because what tends to happen in our market is a very small market. When people are looking for directors, they look for the known names, a name that's already familiar, that's top of mind to a lot of boardrooms, so that people don't question who is this unknown quantity. But I think Catherine at the Institute of Directors is trying to cut through that. And the more women representation we have on boards, the better this conversation around pay gap can be made. I was just trying to look, I think last week I was looking at the current list of the top 10 companies in Zimbabwe. You would be hard-pressed to find a female CEO, right? To say, who is the CEO of a conglomerate in Zimbabwe, right? Off the top of my head, I couldn't. Maybe Tidings has been around longer. Maybe she can tell us. I couldn't find that. And non-executive directors appoint the CEO. So if the non-executive directors are all men, we gravitate towards what's familiar. They will appoint another man. Hence my point that I think for those that can participate in this program, just get in touch with the Institute of Directors. They'll teach you all the things you need to know. And who knows, you'll be on this board and that board and be having this conversation in a more impactful way. Your second question was too tough for me. Maybe I can get help from the panel.
I'm sure Anesu can take that one up for us. And maybe Anesu, just share with us on how we can close the gender wealth gap. As I indicated, women lag behind in terms of wealth accumulation. And I mean wealth, not riches, wealth accumulation. And as you pick that one up, if you can leave us with some parting remarks so that we do a quick round and close.
Before I answer that, I want to say Tidings is my new hero. A baby, 2 days old, and working. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I salute you. In terms of closing the wealth gap, it's have conversations. Success leaves clues. So find somebody who's got the level that you're trying to be on and have that conversation with that person about what did it take? How did you get there? What did you do differently? And also talk to advisors, financial advisors, if you have access to them. And also Old Mutual has a great On the Money program, which also talks about budgeting and finance and things like that. So I think things like that are also very important to invest in. But success leaves clues. Talk to people, have a mentor. Understand how do they get to this level and how do they get to that stage. So I always make it a plan at least once a month to sit down with somebody who's exceptionally brilliant in their craft to have a conversation with, or have lunch or even tea. Because even when I had started it, when I worked at Old Mutual, my boss didn't know I was doing it, but she would say, oh, let's do a presentation. And I'm like, oh, let me come and work in your office so that we can sense check if we're on the same page. But halfway through, I'm interviewing her, asking her all of the questions about, how did you get here? What did you do here? So ask the hard questions, have the conversations, find the people that align with where you're trying to be, and let's keep pushing for policy and Institute of Directors. We want to see more women on boards and also younger women because it is a game changer. And in terms of parting shots, just take this with you. Faith and fear require us both to believe in something unseen. Pick your F word wisely.
Wow. Thank you, Adesu. Tidings, briefly, your parting remarks.
Okay. In terms of the wealth gap, I know you hadn't asked me that, but we're in a space in the world where there's so many opportunities for women. There are women funds, and a lot of us professionals do not go for them. You look down on it. Put yourself out there. Where there are women networks, when you go to those women networks, there is funding for women. It might not be the big, I don't know, tens of thousands that you want, but there is that sort of money where it's available, and we are covering centuries of bias and centuries of lack of access to finance, and you need to start somewhere. So look for those opportunities, participate. We have a tendency, if we're professionals, to feel like we are too good for it and things like that, but that is where we miss it. You need to start somewhere. I promise you, if men had those opportunities, they would grab them shamelessly.
Thank you. Hard Life, briefly, your parting shot.
I think I've learned more than I've contributed today. I just want to say to the women to stay fearless. I think our oldest recorded heroine in Zimbabwe is Mbiane Handa. She had a male counterpart, Sekuru Kagovi. I don't think he's as popular in the impact that she had. So this is not new. Just stay fearless. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our panelists as I hand over to our host, Akudzwe, maybe for one or two questions from the audience. Do you have a moment for that? Okay, so thank you so much, Tim.
All right. A huge thank you to our panelists and our lovely moderator, Lindy. I think that was an incredible conversation and there was so much to learn. So I hope you got one or two nuggets to help you along your journey. We would like to introduce Chipo Muchegwa, a Zimbabwean-born musician. She is going to sing for us and then after we will close. So we will give it over to Chipo shortly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chipo Muchegwa. So the song I'm about to sing is called Single Mothers. I know kuti tine vakadzi vari kushandira mhuri dzavo, and I'm one of the single mothers, and I'm a proud mom. Single mama, wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama, it's not a curse to be a single mama. Wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama, avasiwese vakasiya dzimba nekuda. Ndinozviziva ndizvo zvamunofunga. Ungamirire munhu asingauyi kumba. Petsa kubuda nyika ayimuguma. We wake to raise a child. Baba Mwana is nowhere to be found. There's no support to help her out. But I'm wake and it's alright. It's not a curse to be a single mama. Wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama, it's not a curse to be a single mama. Wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama, ndaiko chiriko. Tiye choice ina shuka, aina shuka. Panaimbomiraho achida kubvunza zvaindishupa. You were able to put food on the table. Uiwega unatosimudza level. Vanokudzikisira ndivana table. It's not a curse to be a single mama. Wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama, it's not a curse to be a single mama. Wakakosha. Single mama, ndauye kuzosimbisa. Single mama, usazodzikisira. Single mama. Okay. I'm Zimbabwe Mayo. Production.
Hello, Chico, you light a fire in my heart.
Hello, Terry, I can feel my temperature rising. Nukuchira kureko, I was on the sea and they got hot. Tesha moyo, ashiri kutamara moyo, tesha moyo, Terry, tesha kutamana moyo wa munhu azvidi kutamana moyo wa munhu
vakurangarire wasangana neniwo zvichakunakira ukadanana neniwo.
Let me believe that you're not gonna deceive me. Moyo wangu uneroda chandinoda unozozvikona
ndinokuda kusvikira ndafa ndikanditira kutanda unishisira ndaja moti yechiwa.
Feels like I'm stuck in the past. I don't know how long will to last. Takapane kokumunga kunaita Shirisherudo I wanna come baisa Teshe moyo Teshe moyo Ashidi kutambana moyo wabuni Teshe moyo Teshe moyo Ashidi kutambana moyo wabuni Ashidi kutambana moyo
Chico, don't be a doubt. I'm sorry, Chico.
Sorry, in the Magafanana. Tangata Kuda like no one else. Sorry, I gave you my word and no, you prove yourself, you're not a man of his word. Why can't you love me the way you should? Asikundi baya moyo wangu is what you choose. Shiri kundibaya moyo teri Naifunga kuti wewe nenichenda mberi Wanditumira moyo teri Nachiona kunarumeka Chingainepika Saka magafanana Senge munorangana Ende magafanana Apologize, now realize Kuti hapana msia no bauga ne rise Look me in my eyes, no more tell lies And each other kuwashi no taura my guys Peer pressure, ndoya kanipeka Anta ungaite one munu ariega Bakabana kopa, doku no pesta Doku sojiwana kuti vinti no pera Shiri kunibaya moyo teri Naifunga kuti wewe nyenichenga mberi Wanditumira moyo teri Naziona kunarumeka singanyepi Saka magafanana Senge munorangana Ende magafanana
Baby, but it's never too late to apologize, baby. Every
proposal said, but you turn around and cheat on me. So that's what you're doing, besides what's said, chop on me. I don't wanna hear you sorry. I'm tired, I'm sorry. I don't wanna hear you sorry. I'm tired, I'm sorry. I don't wanna hear you sorry. I'm tired, I'm sorry. Shiri kunibaya moyo teri. Naifunga kuti wewe nenichenda mberi Wanditimira moyo teri Naziona kunarumeka singanyepi Saka magafanana Senge munorangana Ende magafanana Senge munorangana ende magafanana magafanana senge munorangana munorangana ende magafanana senge munorangana ende magafanana. Thank you.
We are including her. We are counting her in. We are accelerating the progress of women through empowering them. It has been a great discussion and a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us online, in person, and across the country, and even beyond. We saw a Facebook comment that said there was someone tuning in from Abu Dhabi. So we thank you for joining us today. Some of the comments we've received today are that I started a chicken project with a feather. And another comment says, I like this cashier story, who said a cashier cannot be innovative and creative. And to our guest speaker, it says, thank you so much for the powerful message. We were inspired. And so thank you to everyone who contributed and joined us today. I am calling upon the Managing Director for Old Mutual Microfinance to give us her vote of thanks and closing.
Thank you so much, Akudzwe. I'm still in the Ndeje Moyo phase. I'm hoping that we can do this on a Friday and then take it to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this has been a very inspiring and empowering celebration of the International Women's Day. I'm very humbled to be part of this audience. On behalf of the Old Mutual Women's Network, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and everyone that has been with us today and for making this event a tremendous success. A big and special thank you to our panelists and our guest presenter for sharing your stories about resilience, determination, and the power of inclusion. Their journeys have shown us the importance of recognizing and valuing diverse perspectives and contributions. Today, we have been reminded that inspiring inclusion, we can create a world that embraces and empowers every individual, regardless of gender. Let's get everyone involved in the conversation, and let's continue to spread the message of empowerment and equity. Once again, thank you for your presence, for your support, and for your commitment to making a positive change. Let us carry the spirit of International Women's Day with us every day as we strive for a more inclusive future. Thank you very much. Before I leave the podium, allow me to ask each and every one of us to stand up and join us in a collective pose capturing the spirit of #InspireInclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Isabel, for that. Please use our hashtags, Inspire Inclusion, hashtag Count Her In, accelerate the progress of women through the empowerment. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your host, Akudzwe Mangami. Thank you so much and have a good day. Joining us. I am your host, Akudzwe Mangami. Thank
It's a little word with big meaning. because it describes a state of commonality, of shared experiences or beliefs, and of close relationships. For us at Old Mutual, the word mutual is much more than just a part of our name. It's a promise we make to those we serve. A promise of partnership, relationship, and shared commitment to what matters most in their lives. Since we were first established in 1845, we have been a certain friend in uncertain times. Our promise ensures our customers have the support of an experienced and long-respected financial partner. Today, that experience has enabled Old Mutual to become a leader in the financial services industry. From new innovations to solve complex problems, to new ways of helping people create better futures. The world we operate in relies on the links between the economic, social, and environmental systems.
In many ways, on one platform, welcome to mine.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, investments, just and banking.
My Old Mutual is great.
USSD, WhatsApp, okay, Konapo.
My Old Mutual is great.
Insurance, in many.
Mahala, oh Mari,
USD wallet promotion.
nezona kachimira momzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yedye kana usingazi.
USD wallet promotion.
nezona kachimira momzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yedye kana usingazivi chibvunza ini. Mahala, oh Mari,
USD wallet promotion.
nezona kachimira momzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yedye kana usingazivi chibvunza ini. Mahala, oh Mari,
USD wallet promotion.
nezona kachimira momzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yedye kana usingazivi chibvunza inini uya ndikuratidze plan. Oh Mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauya oh Mari hati wewe unombochema macharges. Iwe oh Mari yako mara kutumira ndauya oh Mari hati wewe unombochema macharges. Sama US mu oh Mari mala kutumira mari padeni voita cash out nyangwe makuseni uya ndikuratidze ndinayo plan. Oh Mari yako mara kutumira mala kutora ndauya oh Mari hati wewe unombochema macharges.
Dial *707# from any Econet, Net1 or Telecel number to register and start transacting on Money today. Cash in or cash out USD for free. No charges, no IMTT tax at any OK, Bon Marché, TM Pick and Pay, Spa, Cabs, Old Mutual, and many more nationwide. Money is the new USD wallet from Old Mutual. Register today on *707#.
Mahala, oh Mari,
USD wallet promotion.
nezona kachimira momzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yedye kana usingazivi chibvunza inini uya ndikuratidze plan. Oh Mari yako mara kutumira mala kutora ndauya oh Mari hati wewe unombochema macharges. Iwe oh Mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauya oh Mari hati wewe unombochema macharges. Sama US mu makuseni uya ndikuratidze ndinayo plan. Oh mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauya ne mari hanti wewe unombochema macharges.
Dial *707 hash from any Econet, Net1 or Telecel number to register and start transacting on Money today. Cash in or cash out USD for free. No charges, no IMTT tax at any OK, Bon Marché, TM Pick and Pay, Spar, Cabs, Old Mutual, and many more nationwide. Money is the new USD wallet from Old Mutual. Register today on *707 hash.
Mahala. Mari.
USD wallet promotion.
Nezona kachimira mumzangu 10 ndoba vaitora iri 10 yechke kana usingazivi chivunza inini uya ndikuratidze plan. Mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauya ne mari hanti wewe unombochema macharges. Iwe mari yako mara kutumira mara kutora ndauya ne mari hanti wewe unombochema macharges. Sama US mu mari mara kutumira mari padeni ita cash out nyangwe makuseni uya ndikuratidze ndinayo plan.